Welcome to Fantasy Football Aces. It's your boy William Wolf. I'm back, and we're live for some Week 5 waivers. Let's fucking go. Just got back from the Rays game here, the playoff Rays game. Game 1 against the Rangers. They got blowed. A little friendly drive across the bridge in St. Pete is always fun. Breeze back to being the guest as usual. I should probably close the door so she doesn't go outside and start barking at Ghost. You're a good girl. Today's episode is going to be a little shorter than normal. I think yesterday I did reactions to the NFL in the Diamond League. I'm 4-0 on the season. If you didn't catch yesterday's episode, it was already a formality. Monday Night Football didn't matter. Scored a $166. Team is strong. I'm in the middle of still trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to start Justin Fields on Thursday against Washington or if I'm going to roll with yeah, you're not going to do that in the mic, Bree. Stop. Yeah, go lay down. That's fine. And if I'm going to start Matthew Stafford 4:00 Sunday, who's going against Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that, the Philadelphia Eagles, same state. I'm not sure whether I'm going to go, which way I'm going to go with that one. I think it's probably I can't make the wrong decision anyways. The Bears have been one of the best teams in the NFL for defenses, so Washington's probably going to be a good pickup this week. With that being said, it's kind of controversial or a contradiction because Washington's also one of the top 10 worst teams against quarterbacks this year and receivers. So that kind of tells you that there's a good possibility of green-lighting the Bears receiver DJ Moore and Justin Fields. His schedule gets really easy starting last week against Denver. The one thing to think about there is that they're on the road this week, and it's different when your quarterbacks are playing at home and on the road. And Matthew Stafford, on the other hand, is going to be at home. Cooper Kupp, we're still waiting on news on whether or not he's going to come back this week. I think if he does, they're just going to ease him back in. So we'll see on that. Going over to the monitor, as usual, we're going to talk about the pickups of the week, but more so the thought process behind them. I got it filtered right now for all positions, all players, transaction trends. We'll go first with we'll do ads here. Sorry, it's not filtered for ads, so that's important. Looks like Detroit's defense against Carolina is a very popular pickup this week. I don't blame them. That defense and Hutchinson is looking like they're sacking the quarterback, and that could get ugly there with Bryce Young. So not a bad pickup going after them if you're just streaming defenses. I mentioned Washington already, along with Miami against the Giants. One of the biggest pickups of the week this year is Wilson. We're going to bring him up on the screen here now. The rookie receiver for Arizona Cardinals, Michael Wilson. I'm not as high on Michael Wilson. If I was you and you're desperate at receiver, I recommend, bidding a few dollars. Hey, stop it, Bree. Bidding a few dollars on him, probably like $10 or $11. And then, keep dart throwing. You could dart throw him. I'm cool with that. I've said already yesterday when I was reacting to the NFL that the Cardinals are a much more competitive football team than we ever could have imagined. He had 7 targets, 7 catches, 76 yards, and 2 touchdowns last week. That's phenomenal. if you think that he's going to ride that trend here and start to get this volume, because before that, you can argue they were easing him in, right? 4 targets, 3 targets, 2 targets. I haven't looked at the snap share for Arizona, but if that trended up as well, maybe Michael Wilson's a guy who's going to take over there and be their, number 2 with Hollywood Brown, arguably their number 1, depending on how you look at that. And, 7 targets is good enough to start. So if you are desperate, I don't mind you possibly going after him and seeing if that trend continues. That's how you find players in fantasy. It could have been 1 week fool's gold. That's what I'm thinking it was. I wouldn't spend too much on Michael Wilson if I were you. Looks like you got some kicker streamers. Stroud is a guy that shouldn't be on waivers anymore, but if he made it to your week 4 waivers, you should pick him up, especially if you're in a 2 quarterback super flex, or if you just want to back up your main quarterback. If you have a running quarterback, it's a very good possibility they can always get hurt. And it's smart to back up C.J. Stroud. I would have already picked him up if I didn't have Stafford. I'm a big believer in Stafford right now, especially with Cooper Kupp coming back. I just feel like between him, Puka, and Tutu Atwell, you're looking at an offense, in my opinion, that Stafford is going to really eat. So that is the reason why I didn't go after C.J. Stroud. I didn't like the schedule for Houston either. But it looks like, the schedule doesn't matter. He balled out against Pittsburgh. CJ looks like the real deal. As I says, if he did make it to your week 4 waivers, you should definitely go after him. This gentleman right here is a pretty interesting one. Jaleel McClellan led the FBS last year in rushing or all-time essential. I haven't looked too much at those stats, but it's something that popped up on my screen. Looks like, they love this kid in camp, undrafted, made it on the team. And now with Javonte banged up, he got an opportunity and he took advantage of it. With Sean Payton really struggling, getting blowed out in the first half, and then them having a spark and getting things going with their first win in Denver, Sean Payton's first win in Denver, he may fall in love with this guy. That's the theory I'm starting to think in my mind. He has no allegiance or, ties to Javonte, as good as Javonte is, and we know he is before his ACL and the advanced analytics on him, his rookie year coming out of North Carolina. With all that being said, Sean doesn't have any allegiance or ties to that. So, this kid, Jaleel, could be his guy. And, it could be, a similar kind of player to like Darren Sproles for the Saints with once upon a time with Sean Payton. I think Jaleel is a big-time gamble, but I think he's worth the gamble. If you are in need of a running back, as bad as Denver is, and as much as I want to stay away from their offense, I think that if you're desperate, he's a guy to gamble on. I think he's going to have a role in this offense from here on out. It's a crowded backfield with P. Ryan and Javonte if Javonte's healthy. But stop. But I think that Jaleel is an interesting waiver wire guy this week. I don't mind somebody throwing a dart at him and giving him a shot and see what kind of role he's going to play the rest of the way. There's nobody out there, Bree. There's nobody out there. Stop. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. 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 Good girl. Stay. Besides that, guys, there's not a whole lot out here in free agency this week. Jamison Williams is my guy on my all players ads. He should have popped up here, to be honest. I don't know. Let me see if I see him. Fantasy Football Aces right here. Jamison Williams. I already drafted him. I was anticipating a week 6 return for him, week 7 return, 6-game suspension for gambling. And it came, Christmas came early. Jamison's coming back. super, 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 super excited about this kid, man. Coming out of college, Ohio State, then to Alabama. We all know how good he was. Tore his ACL in the national championship game against Georgia. Um, he still hasn't had a real shot at the NFL yet. He was rated just slightly below Garrett Wilson in that class and higher than Olave in that class. So if he falls in anywhere in between those two guys in a Detroit offense, you're talking about a player who's going to be a star in the NFL, and he's going to be have an immediate impact for fantasy football and for the Detroit Lions. My biggest concern with him this week coming up, week 5, is that Dan Campbell's already coming out saying that he's easing him in. And that's something that Dan Campbell is notorious for. Just look at what he's doing with Jahmyr Gibbs right now. That franchise in general, Detroit, can be really frustrating when it comes to rookies. I think that Dan's more of the approach that he just wants reliable guys that play hard. People that work hard and play hard, kind of like St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown. They hit gold on with him, and they really like his character and the way he is as a person, and the way he treats his job like a job, and works hard. And I think Jameson might be the complete opposite of that. I believe the Detroit GM has an eye for talent, and I don't think he's missed on Jameson Williams or Jahmyr Gibbs. But we may have to wait for their opportunity. I'll be patient. I want to see what he does in week 5, and what Detroit does with him in week 5. And I'm going to monitor that, and I'm not going to deploy him into my lineup until I see snaps at above 60 to 70%. I want to see a true wide receiver 2 out there, 70% snap share. So I'll wait until then. And if you're desperate and you need to start a receiver, I do not mind you throwing in Jameson Williams. They're going to take some shots with him. This is one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, one of the best offenses in the NFL. They're going to be running the ball hard with David Montgomery, and teams are going to have to try to stop David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, which leaves Jameson Williams to probably get a few opportunities for some long, deep touchdowns, 60, 70-yard plays. I compare this talent a lot to Deshaun Jackson. I think he's a little bit taller version of Deshaun Jackson, just an absolute speed demon. Not the best route runner in the world, but a guy who is twitchy and can run like a deer. Deshaun, I think he's a great comparison of the kind of football player you're going to see out in the NFL. A guy who, with one touch, can take it to the house, and has speed that stands out on an NFL field. When you see a guy like Jameson, Deshaun Jackson, all the boys out in Miami, Tyreek Hill, Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane, these guys, when they look different on the field, they're faster than everybody else. It's something that you will notice right away with Jameson Williams when he gets his opportunity. During camp, it seemed like he was getting in fights with teammates, having trouble struggling getting open. Seemed like, there was rumors about him dropping the ball. So there's been nothing but FUD around this kid. Just not a lot of good headlines, nothing positive. ACL followed by suspension. It's a wait and see approach, but you're really fired up about what he can bring, especially in a Lions offense that is just an absolute juggernaut. I think he is a perfect fit for that offense, with St. Brown running underneath routes and a really good run game, along with the young tight end Laporta. I think that they're missing just this guy, this piece. When they have this piece, the offense becomes really difficult to stop. I'm not putting him on the same level as Tyreek when it comes to talent, but when it comes to speed, that's the kind of it changes the whole defensive scheme, man. You're not going to be able to leave this guy one-on-one or think that you're not going to have a safety over the top, because you can get put out 7 points on the board real quick with this boy. So you're really excited about Jameson Williams. Outside of that, fantasy football aces, we're in third in the standings at the moment, 4-0. We have the third highest points. So these two guys got a few more points than me. They both have really good teams as well. But I'm in great position right now. I can afford to lose a game. I'm actually playing two really weaker teams the next 2 weeks, so I can easily get to 6-0 if my team, just performs the way they should. Um, Current projections, they got me at 11-3 as a bye. The funny part about that is the draft day projections. They had me at 3-11, so that tells you how quick you can turn it around. I made a great pickup with Nico Collins right here on the right. I've been raving about him for 2 days now, for 4 weeks. For 3 weeks, I should say, to be completely honest. And Puka Nacua as well. I don't think he's going anywhere. I have a really solid team, and I have a lot of depth as well. Quentin Johnston, he's going to get his opportunity to become a star in that offense in L.A. Jamison Williams is going to get his opportunity to become a star in Detroit. And the great thing about it is I don't even need them. I have Nico Collins and Puka, who are never coming out of my lineup, and I'm still okay with starting DeAndre Hopkins. I think better days are ahead of him. Volume is going to get there for him. So I don't mind DeAndre Hopkins start at all. Running backs are stacked. Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift, Raheem Mostert, and James Cook. I'm going to start the better matchups on those. I'm definitely going to start Raheem Mostert this week against the Giants at home. I'm not concerned about Devon Ockney. I'm not concerned about the shitty output last week and the 2 fumbles. He's going to get a chance to go right back in the lineup. He's been great this year. 1 bad week is not a big deal. 12, 25, 41, and 4. We're okay with that. We still had 5 targets last week, 7 targets the week prior. They've been putting him at receiver a lot more with Devon Ockney at running back. I'm okay with that too. As long as Raheem Mostert's on the field, I'm good with it. He's going to get goal line carries still. He's still a great, great player. I think that he bounces back this week. I'd take the over on the 12.54. I put him around 15 points this week. I'd say 11 carries for 60 yards, a touchdown to go along with 3 or 4 catches for another 20 to 30 yards. That would put you around 16, 17 point day for Raheem Mostert. You can mark that down. DeAndre Swift and Pollard have tougher matchups this week, but I'm okay with that. They're not coming out of my lineup. I think they're must starts at this point. Mark Andrews, another tough matchup, but it doesn't matter. He balled out last week. And yeah, man, Sky Moore has been my one really major disappointment this year, but I'm not too concerned about it. I don't need him anymore. So with a really green schedule here and him being the 60% snap share guy in this offense, you got Minnesota, Denver, Chargers, Denver, again, if my eyes are correct, and Miami. That's a lot of green, guys. So he's going to have an opportunity to start to break out. It's been a slow start for Sky. It's been a slow start for all Kansas City guys, really, besides Pacheco, and maybe you can make an argument for Kelsey, but you'd like to see more from Kelsey. So I think that their offense is going to be able to get right as they did against the Bears 2 weeks ago. And Sky Moore's got an opportunity to make his name for himself. And, I don't really need him. So maybe through the bye weeks, he'll get an opportunity to get 1 start if I can see some more volume here. But I need to see 6 targets every week. He got that in garbage time against the Bears. I need to see that week in and week out. I need to see 8 targets, really. I want to see the Juju target rate. Juju was getting at least 8 targets a game last year. I'd like to see that from Sky Moore. I think he's more talented than Juju, so I don't see why that can't happen. Maybe it's just been some bad matchups so far this year. We'll find out. Antonio Gibson's a guy that's going to get dropped. I don't plan on keeping him. He's just the last man on my roster, so he'll be able to be switched out for buys. Like essentially if my defense needs a buy or my kicker needs a buy, I'll be able to switch him out until I find somebody further notice. I don't think that I'm going to be bidding on anybody this week. That's why I don't really care about showing you that screen. I don't mind my league mates knowing that either. As I said here a second ago with the transaction trends, the only guy on this list that I would even consider picking up is this gentleman here. I think it's a dart throw though, and I don't really want anybody in that Denver offense. I have 4 running backs already that I believe in. They're all RB1s at the moment. So even if one of my guys got injured, I'm still covered across the board essentially. So there's no reason for me to make a move on him. I'm gonna save my fab, let the other guys spend their fab this week, and I'll wait for another opportunity where maybe possibly I need somebody because right now I don't. So that's where I'm at with that. Uh, and no questions coming in today. So as I said, today is a shorter podcast than normal. I covered NFL reactions yesterday. I'm going to have Thursday night football. I'll have my boy Eric here as a guest. We'll do a lot of insight about gambling. I'll have my Thursday night pick of the week, which is undefeated right now at this point, and I'm looking forward to revealing that. My quarterback and team, the Chicago Bears, will be playing Thursday, so stay tuned to find out if I start one of those guys, because I have Justin Fields, and there's a chance that I may not start him. I may start Matthew Stafford. I still haven't made my choice yet. I'm leaning more towards starting Fields right now at this point, though, because I just was looking at Washington's history this year so far. They gave up a 30-burger to Russell Wilson. They struggled against Hurts and Josh Allen. So what I gather from that with my data is that they're having a tough time against running quarterbacks. So I really, really, really respect Washington's defensive line. They have 4 first-round picks on that side of the ball, essentially on the line. But I think their secondary is really weak right now. And for whatever reason, running quarterbacks have been able to get away with doing big numbers against them. And I don't really I feel like that's a trend that I need to stick with. And as much as I think Stafford is a really safe play at home against the Eagles, 4 o'clock on Sunday, the Eagles still have a really good defense, and that could be more scary than starting Fields maybe, I've been thinking, except the fact that Stafford's at home. So I have a tough decision there on Thursday. We'll make that decision Thursday, though. I still need to think about it more and ponder it. Most likely, I'm going to roll Fields, though, because it's just my guy that I invested a lot of capital into this year's draft and my team. And he had a huge week for me last week, and I think maybe that last week's the start of a really good run in fantasy football where he ends up being the top 5 quarterback in fantasy that I thought he could be. I love what Richardson's doing out in Indianapolis, and I don't think the Bears are that far off from being able to do that. Meaning, I believe Fields can start rushing for 60 yards in at least 1 touchdown a game. He should be doing that already. Yesterday, he used his this past week, he used his rushing ability to be able to throw touchdowns. That's why he ended up with 4 throwing touchdowns. A couple times he used his scramble ability to get other guys open because teams were collapsing on him trying to stop the run. That's something that I said on the podcast after week 2. I said that Justin needs to really realize who he is, because these middle linebackers in zone, they're not trying to stop the deep end route over the top of them. They're trying to focus on Justin and stopping him from running. And the quicker he realizes that, the faster he realizes that, the more he's going to be able to throw the ball based upon defenses trying to collapse on the run. So maybe he figured that out. Maybe Denver's defense is just the defense that everybody's going to ball out against. We'll find out Thursday against Washington. I don't expect the Bears to win, but I think Justin can have a big day in fantasy football. But until next time, I'll see you guys Thursday. Make sure you tune in. The pick of the week is coming, and we'll be live Sunday as well for my sharp pick of the week. Who I have an eye on somebody already in that. And we got a 5-2-1 record right now. Still a very solid record that people can count on. So yeah, that'll do it, guys. You have a good night, and we'll see you Thursday, and we'll find out what happens with these waivers. Peace.